Sunderland have just been promoted to the Premier League in dramatic fashion thanks to a 95th minute Tommy Watson winner in the playoff final. 8 long painful years of relegations, playoff losses, managerial changes are finally over and the Black Cats are back in the big time. And their squad is just wow. Absolutely stacked with young players, which will make a very exciting rebuild. As today we are jumping into FC 25, taking charge of Sunderland after their promotion, with the ultimate end goal of winning the Black Cats a Champions League trophy. However lads, today's rebuild will be slightly different. I know every man and his dog is rebuilding Sunderland at the moment. We have got to keep things in this rebuild as realistic as possible. Now if you're unfamiliar with how realistic rebuilds work on this channel, we cannot sign anyone who's higher rated than our highest rated current player at the club. So in FC 25, Sunderland's best player is 77 rated Enzo Lefebvre, and you may be wondering, well, does this count because Lefebvre is actually a loan player from Roma? Yes, this does count. Sunderland have got an obligation to buy Lefebvre for £24 million thanks to their promotion. Next season, Sunderland will own Lefebvre as a permanent player, and that also means we have got to make him permanent in FC 25 as well. So in season 1, we cannot sign anyone who is above 77 rated, which means staying in the Premier League is going to be a really difficult task. However, if we do get relegated this season, which definitely could happen, I'm not going to be worried in the long run because Sunderland's squad is stacked full of unbelievable young players. They've got players on their books like Joe Bellingham, who's 18-year-old and 73 rated, Chris Rigg, who is 17 years old and 70 rated, Ray Hume is 22-year-old and so is Dan Neil. They're both 73 rated. I mean, just looking at the young players at the club, there's so many players here that in future seasons could be so strong. However, having all these amazing young players does come with a bit of a selection headache for me. How do we get all this young talent straight into the starting 11? Well, we are going to go with a 4-2-3-1 formation, kick things off in this rebuild with 3 attacking midfielders. This is the only way I could get the likes of Rigg, Bellingham, Neil and Lefebvre all in the same team. And I think on initial inspection, lads, this team is going to struggle to stay in the Premier League. Thankfully though, we can make signings in season number 1. Now Sunderland only actually started off with £4 million, but they have just won the playoffs, meaning they have won £220 million in real life. However, I'm not going to give us that much money. I've only given us a £50 million transfer increase, so we've got £54 million in the bank, but there is a bit of a catch. Now we've already discussed that Sunderland have to buy Enzo Lefebvre in real life, meaning we've got to sign him in FC 25. However, I'm not really too concerned about this because he's actually a really good player. Now 2 of their other loan players, Abdul Samed and Jadon Dans, have barely played for Sunderland, so I can't see them signing them in real life. However, Chris Metham has had a fantastic season for Sunderland this season. Now at 26-year-old and 72 rated, he is definitely someone I would avoid signing in FC 25. And I just can't see any situation where Sunderland don't sign him permanently in real life. So we are going to have to sign Chris Metham and Enzo Lefebvre permanently in FC 25. And I'm hopeful we'll still have a competitive budget after signing these 2 players. Now the deals are completed. Lefebvre and Metham are permanent Sunderland players, costing us a combined £17.8 million and a lot of money on wages as well, which means we have now got £34 million in the bank. Now this is the part of the rebuild which I knew would be the most difficult, actually replacing players in this starting 11 heading into the Premier League. Now as Abdul Samed is only a loan player, we won't have him next season. Luke O'Nien is currently playing at CDM for us with Don Ballard and Metham at the back. I think going into season number 1, we have to bring a new CDM, centre-back and goalkeeper into the club to give us any chance of staying in the Premier League. Luke O'Nien has been an amazing player for Sunderland in real life, and next season in the Premier League, he is definitely going to be starting. But in FC 25, lads, he's 72 rated, 29-year-old, he's currently playing out of position. Playing him this season doesn't benefit me at all because he's not really going to grow. Gonna have to take him out of the starting 11 next season and use him as a squad player. And I know people are probably thinking our strikers are nowhere near good enough as well, and they aren't in terms of FC 25, but I'm looking to shore up our defence to give us a chance of staying up. We've got 3 attacking midfielders with a lot of talent. I'm hopeful they'll add goals to the team. And in real life, Sunderland have sold playoff final hero Tommy Watson to Brighton for £10 million, which is a really big shame. As you can see, we're gonna have to sell him in season 1, and I'm absolutely gutted about this. So we have made 3 new signings, lads, and I'm really happy with the business we have done. I've tried to keep it as realistic as possible. If I do get something wrong, let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll try to make the next rebuild that bit more realistic. Now, the first signing we made of season number 1 was a centre-back who's just been relegated from the Premier League. We signed England under-21 captain Taylor Harwood-Bellis from Southampton for £9.5 million. He's 22-year-old, 74 rated with really decent potential in FC 25. No way Harwood-Bellis is going to be playing in the Championship next season, and I can genuinely see him leaving Southampton for one of the newly promoted sides. Now, our next signing, we kind of reverted back to Sunderland's transfer philosophy of signing young, high potential players, and we dipped into the French league to sign Valentin Antanga from Stade de Reims for £6 million. They have just lost Will Still as their boss, and I feel like Antanga could be swayed to join the Black Cats. He's going to be playing in front of 46,000 fans in the best league in the world. For a massive club like Sunderland, I think they could get this deal over the line. Paid £6 million for him as an exciting prospect, 18-year-old, 73 rated. Another really exciting young player to keep our eye on in this rebuild. And now for the final signing, the goalkeeper, as we have signed Michael Cooper from Sheffield United, who we've just beaten the playoff final for £11 million. Now, Michael Cooper is the best goalkeeper outside of the Premier League, hands down. The guy is incredible, and he will not be playing Championship football next season. That is a fact. He's 76 rated in FC 25 and 24-year-old, and I feel like in FC 25 and in real life, this is a big upgrade on Anthony Patterson. And in my opinion, these three signings are realistic, and with them added to our starting 11, we're looking a lot more solid at the back, which will hopefully give us a fighting chance of actually staying in the Premier League. Now, we have only got £4 million left in the bank, so there'll be no more signings made in season 1. We do have a few players transfer listed and some players listed for loan. However, I'm going to call our transfer window done for season number 1, and our starting 11 is now locked in for the new season. Can we stay in the Premier League? Only time will tell. So we've arrived at the end of the season, lads. Have we stayed up? Have we gone down? Well, in fact, we have finished 15th in the Premier League on 43 points, finishing 5 points clear of the relegation zone, level on points with the Mags as well. And in season 2, Sunderland are still going to be in the Premier League, which is a monumental achievement. In the FA Cup in the 3rd round, unfortunately, we drew Arsenal, and they were far too good for us and beat us 3-1. Not really too fussed about our performance in the FA Cup though. And do you know what, lads? It has to be said, look at the growth of our team. We now look like an established Premier League side on paper, and I think the big challenge of season number 2 is going to be keeping our key young players like Joe Bellingham and Chris Rigg. But with rumours of Bellingham leaving in real life, I'm hopeful no bids will come in for him, but if we get a serious bid, we may have to accept it. I think going into the new season though, lads, I really am going to have to bring in a new left back to replace Dennis Sirkin. He's 74 rated and 23-year-old, so he wouldn't be a bad squad player, but if we want to progress up the Premier League table, we need a better starting left back. I'm also thinking about replacing Don Ballard at the back. He's 25-year-old, 76 rated. Again, he'd be a very good squad player in the Premier League, but I feel like we're lacking a commanding centre-back who's going to propel us up the league table. If we have any spare money, lads, I may look to improve our bench. I don't know what kind of budget we're going to be working with. Don't even know if we'll be able to bring in a left-back and centre-back. And in terms of stats this season, Wilson Isidore was fantastic. He got 21 goals in 42 games, and he is only 73 rated. Really happy with his progression, and Joe Bellingham was amazing as well. Before we progress on into the new season, we have sold quite a few players. All the players you can see here have been sold, other than a few players going out on loan from our academy. So we have arrived in season number 2, lads, and the board are pulling out all the stops. We have got 63 million in the bank. This is a fantastic competitive transfer budget for Sunderland. Really confident at the end of this transfer window we'll be more than capable of competing for a top half finish in the Premier League. Let's just hope no bids come in for our star players. And lads, in real life, how could Sunderland keep Joe Bellingham and Chris Rigg at the club? Give them more money. We agreed new contracts with Joe Bellingham and Chris Rigg, and Joe Bellingham will be taking home £60,000 a week, making him the most high paid player at Sunderland, and Chris Rigg's taking home 40 grand a week at 18-year-old. This should keep them both uninterested in leaving the club for at least another season. As we know, there is a rule in this rebuild: we cannot sign anyone who is higher rated than our highest overall player, and Michael Cooper is currently our highest overall player at 80 rated, so we can only sign players 80 rated or below in this transfer window. Hopefully though, we come out of the transfer window much stronger. So lads, we have acted very fast in this transfer window. We've immediately made 2 signings off the bat, which I think make us much stronger on paper. Our first signing of the transfer window was Flavien Boyomo of Osasuna. We paid £30 million for him. He's 23-year-old, 79 rated with amazing stats. Osasuna in FC25 did get relegated from La Liga. We have picked off one of their best players, Boyomo, brought him over to the Stadium of Light, and at 23-year-old, he has got a lot of room to grow. I am really excited about this signing. And sticking with the theme of signing players who have been relegated with their clubs in FC25, Nottingham Forest were relegated from the Premier League. We raided them for Neco Williams, who is 24-year-old and 80 rated with really good stats. His contract was also expiring, forcing Forest to sell. We paid £18.5 million for his services. He is a fantastic player. And given the fact that Forest and Osasuna were both relegated in game, I don't think either of these signings are unrealistic. However lads, we are now left with £1 million in the bank, meaning there's going to be no more signings in this transfer window if we can keep all of our best players. With our new signings added to the starting 11, this is how the team is looking heading into season number 2. Really strong team on paper. Our defence is looking much more solid. This starting 11 is now locked in for the new season. Hopefully no bids come in for our star players. And I also think we've got a really solid bench as well, with players like Ballard and Sirkin dropping down there. Ekwa and Pembele are back from their loans and they're looking decent as well. We've also got loads of talent in our reserves. We are looking to sell a few of these players. I think we've done some really solid, smart business. And while we see the transfer window out, we are back scouting in one of your recommendations. And we are going with this comment. We are sending our youth scouts off to Zambia, where we are going to be looking for attacking midfield, just in case we end up selling one of our star players. So lads, as we near the end of the transfer window, someone has bid for Enzo Lefebvre. Whether it's Udinese, they have bid 22 million for him. I really don't think Enzo Lefebvre would leave Sunderland for Udinese. This is getting rejected. So we have arrived at the end of the transfer window lads, and we have managed to keep all of our best players for another season. Hopefully we can have a really strong season, finish in the top half, which will give us a better chance at keeping our best players. So let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. I'm personally aiming to get Sunderland in the top half of the Premier League. So we have arrived at the end of the season lads, and what a terrific season we have had. We've finished 9th in the Premier League on 54 points, scoring 74 goals as well, which is massively improved on last season. Whilst we have achieved a top half finish, we haven't secured European football unless we've won a trophy. And if we've not won a trophy and not secured European football, I do think we could struggle to hold on to our better players next season. So let's cross our fingers. Have we won a trophy? Well, we didn't win the FA Cup, lads. We were knocked out in the 3rd round by Manchester City 4-2. 2 really difficult first round encounters for us against Arsenal and Man City. And unfortunately, we have not won the Carabao Cup. Arsenal went on to win it, meaning we have not secured European football for season number 3. Let's just hope no other clubs come circling for our best players, because if a team in Europe comes knocking, we're going to really struggle to keep our best players. Speaking of our best players, our team is looking very strong on paper. It'll be a real shame to lose anyone at this stage. Hume and Isidore are the only players in our starting 11 who are not above 80 rated. They are 2 players we may look to replace in season number 3. Now, I don't think we're going to have any trouble convincing players like Chris Rigg and Dan Neil to stay at Sunderland, as they have been at Sunderland all their careers. It's more players like Valentin Antanga and Joe Bellingham I'm worried about losing. I think if big bids come in for either of them 2 players in this transfer window, we're going to be forced to sell them. But our team is looking strong. We've had excellent growth all across the pitch. Going into the season 3 transfer window, our main priorities will be a striker and right back. And now, halfway through the season, Dan Neil did suffer an injury, and that forced my hand in the transfer market. We needed someone to come in and be a short-term replacement for Dan Neil, and I went in for someone who came through Sunderland's academy, who has won the Premier League, Champions League, and comes with a wealth of experience. That's right, we brought Jordan Henderson back to the Stadium of Light to see out his career. 35-year-old and 76 rated, by no means a world beater. We needed a CDM to cover Dan Neil's injury, and I couldn't think of anyone I'd rather play at the Stadium of Light than Jordan Henderson. However, in terms of stats, Wilson Isidore had a fantastic season, getting 19 goals and 4 assists. Bellingham, Lefebvre and Rigg all had excellent seasons as well. So we have arrived in season number 3, lads, and we have got a competitive transfer budget of £53 million. Now, in the short term, we are going to be going in for a right back and striker, and I will keep you updated on any bids that may come in for our star players. Now, the highest rated player at the club is Job Bellingham, 83 rated. So in this transfer window, we are unable to sign any player who is in fact above 83 rated. And I think we're going to focus the bulk of our funds in bringing a new right back to the club. And lads, we have managed to bring a right back to the club, and I do think this is a very realistic signing for a top half Premier League side. We have brought Jed Spence in from RB Leipzig for £29 million. In real life, he's just finished 17th in the league with Tottenham, and he doesn't start every week. He is second choice right back at RB Leipzig in game, so I definitely think the deal's realistic. He's 25-year-old, 82 rated, can play on both flanks, and he has got amazing stats, and he is instantly one of the best players at the club. I just knew this was going to happen in this transfer window, boys. We have had an £84 million bid come in from Napoli for Job Bellingham. He's 20-year-old, 83 rated. He is our best player. However, Napoli are in the Champions League. They've just won Serie A in real life. Unfortunately, boys, we are going to have to accept this offer. There's no way Job Bellingham would turn down the chance to play Champions League football. The good thing is, though, we are going to have a massive amount of money coming to the club to bring in a replacement. And I can't lie, boys, this one does sting. Job Bellingham has left to Napoli for £84 million, and our board reckon we could have got 120 million as well. But we have now got £108 million in the bank to bring in a replacement for Job Bellingham. However, the board have requested that we keep £20 million to one side. Don't want us to spend the entire money from the Bellingham deal. And with Job Bellingham leaving the club, the new highest rated player at the club is Dan Neil at 82 rated, meaning we cannot sign anyone who is above 82 rated. Luckily for us though, boys, I've found an attacking midfielder that I want to replace Job. That guy is Ismail Sabari of PSV. He's 82 rated, 24-year-old with amazing stats. Feel like this is a realistic transfer. Sabari crossing over from Holland to the biggest league in the world in England for one of the biggest clubs in England, Sunderland. I really can't see there being any hiccups with this deal, and he is very affordable as well, as we're only going to be paying anywhere from 34.2 to 42 million pounds. Let's get this man to the Stadium of Light. And Sabari signs for 38 million pounds. I think this is a very good replacement for Job. And after bringing Spence and Sabari into the club, we're left with 61 million in the bank. And I can't lie, as I look at that starting 11, Wilson Isidore just jumps out at me of someone who needs replacing, but he has been our best performing player in the last 2 seasons, and he is growing at a really nice rate. I think it would be a bit of an injustice to replace him right now. However, one thing we do need is an adequate backup striker to Isidore, so we are going to go out into the transfer market, make a sensible signing as a backup striker, and we are going to bank the rest of the money, save it for season 4. And we have brought in a backup striker, boys. Lyle Foster joins the club from Burnley for £7.5 million. 25-year-old, 76 rated, going from the Championship to the Premier League. I feel like he'll be an adequate backup striker for season number 3. He is a significant upgrade on my ender. And as we know, Joe Bellingham did join Napoli, but we've also sold Ian Poveda and Timothy Pembele. Both players not really in our first team plans, raised quite a bit of money. And unless any massive bids come in for our players from Champions League sides, I don't think we need to sell. However, one thing I do think we need in season number 4 is European football. Now, before we progress on any further this season, a few more players have left the club. Nectorius Triantis, Patrick Roberts and Oliver Bainbridge have all left the club. They've got no future here. We've also sent 2 youth academy players out on loan. We'll try and get some more players out on loan, but I'm going to do that off camera. In terms of incomings though, in this transfer window, we are done. No one else is joining. And our starting 11 is now locked in for the new season. We're looking really, really good on paper. And we have got a very, very decent bench as well, boys. Probably lacking a backup attacking midfielder, but we've definitely got options. I think we've built a very, very decent team here at Sunderland. Hopefully we'll meet our goals in season number 4. Or is it season 3? I think we're actually going into season 3. All that's left to do now is simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 3. Let's hope season 3 is a roaring success for Sunderland. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, lads, and I don't think this season could have gone any better if we tried. We have finished 4th in the Premier League, securing Champions League football for season number 4. And to top things off, we beat our arch rivals Newcastle United to Champions League football by just 3 points. What a season for the Black Cats. Bring on Champions League football. However, in the FA Cup, we made it 3 consecutive third round exits as we lost to Fulham on penalties. Now, it's pretty common knowledge that Sunderland are trophyless since 1973 when they beat Leeds United to win the FA Cup. Well, this season we have ended that 50-year drought for Sunderland as we won the Carabao Cup, beating Man City 4-3 in the final. Really dramatic circumstances. We gained revenge from the final where Man City beat Sunderland 2-0 in this exact competition, and this is Sunderland's first major trophy for over 50 years, and our team is now looking absolutely unbelievable on paper. Our midfield is definitely our strong point, with Neil and Antanga at 86 rated, our 2 best players. We've actually built a really strong squad here at Sunderland, despite losing our best player last season in Joe Bellingham. Now, given the fact we have secured Champions League football for season 4, I don't think any of our best players would be tempted to leave the club unless the likes of Real Madrid or Barcelona come in for our players, which is going to really help me in season number 4, as I won't be worried about losing our star players. If we had to improve the team, I'm looking at Harwood Bellis at centre-back. He needs to be improved. We could bring another world-class centre-back into the club, help shore up our back line. I think we'd have a great chance at more success in season number 4. If we have any leftover money, we do need a backup attacking midfielder, and I may look to replace Wilson Isidore. He's 26-year-old, 82 rated, not growing as fast as he once was, so we could be looking at a new centre-back and striker and a new backup attacking midfielder in season number 4. However, when it comes to replacing Wilson Isidore, he was by far our best player this season, scoring 22 goals and getting 9 assists, so we're going to bear that in mind heading into season number 2. Isidore has been amazing again this season and is really performing, but it's always nice to have multiple world-class players who know where the back of the net is in your squad. So we have arrived in season number 4, boys, and this budget's a little bit crazy. We've got £179 million in the bank. This is because we still had 70 million left in the bank at the end of last season from the Joe Bellingham sale. Obviously though, the board are not going to allow us to spend all this money and bankrupt the club. Board are giving us 100 million of this budget as we want to become regulars in the Champions League, and the only way we're going to do that is by significantly investing in the club. Any money we make from player sales in this transfer window will not count to our transfer budget either. Now, the highest rated players at the club are 86 rated in Dan Neil and Valentin Antanga, so we cannot sign anyone above 86 rated, but we have identified Wilfred Singo of Premier League rivals Leeds United, 85 rated, 26-year-old, really good stats. Feel like this could be a realistic move at this stage of the rebuild, as we're a Champions League side, Leeds United are not. Do think we'd be able to buy one of their star players. Wilfred Singo will come at a bit of a price, anywhere from 50 to 62 million pounds for Singo. I'm more than happy to bring him to the Stadium of Light. And Wilfred Singo signs for 52 million pounds. Great signing, good addition to the squad. We're now left with 48 million pounds to spend on players. So we've managed to sign the world-class centre-back we wanted in this transfer window. We now need to bring in a striker to replace Isidore, and we have identified Yoann Bonnet of Lille, who is 23 years old, 82 rated, rapid, and has amazing stats. Now, Lille have qualified for the Europa League and not the Champions League, so I do think if Sunderland were in the Champions League and they were in for Yoann Bonnet, do think he'd be open to the move. Now, remember, we've only got £48 million to make this deal happen. Luckily, Lille are going to want anywhere from £38 to £47 million for on his services, so we can just afford him. And being 4 years younger than Isidore and having much higher potential, I think this would be a fantastic signing. And Yoann Bonnet joins Sunderland for £44 million. We have now spent £96 million in this transfer window. We have made 2 incredible signings, but unfortunately that is our transfer budget gone. However, Singo and Bonnet make our starting 11 much better on paper. This is a very strong team that is more than capable of competing with the best teams in the Champions League. We've also got a really strong bench as well. Unfortunately, we won't be able to sign a backup attacking midfielder in this transfer window like we had planned, but I'm hopeful Auchi and Mundell can do the job from the bench. I'm really confident we've built a squad that is more than capable of once again qualifying for the Champions League and even surprising a few teams in the Champions League. And now our work in the Season 4 transfer window is officially done. Now lads, it's a really sad day for Sunderland as some of our playoff heroes have left the club. Chris Metham and Elisa Mayenda have handed in transfer requests as they aren't really playing at the club. We've sold him to Crystal Palace and Copenhagen respectively. Lyle Foster also wanted to leave the club after the signing of Yohan Bonny. Playing time was going to be massively limited. We have sold him to Villarreal for 15.2 million and also sent some youth players out on loan. Now all that's now left to do is simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. Hopefully we give a really good showing in the Champions League. So we have arrived at the end of the season, lads, and we have actually achieved a third placed finish in the Premier League. Only 2 points off title winning Chelsea, losing just 5 of our 38 games. We've once again secured Champions League football for next season, but the fact we've lost just 5 games out of 38 is massively impressive. And we have won our second major trophy of the rebuild as we've beat Watford in the FA Cup final 4-0 to add a first FA Cup trophy to Sunderland's cabinet since 1970. And do you know what, lads? We had a really good showing in the Champions League. We made the quarterfinals where we lost to Monaco 6-2 over 2 legs. However, we did knock out Barcelona in the round of 16, so there are some positives to be taken. And Monaco actually reached the final. And speaking of excellent, our team is literally an elite level side right now. 389 rated players in the team in Rig, Neil and Antanga. I think they'll all be 90 rated next season, along with Sabi as well. The only negative of this season is we lost Yohan Bonny to an injury at the end of the season. He's grown to 85 rated though. Hopefully he'll be back better than ever next season. Now I'm really happy with how our starting 11 is looking at the minute. I think this is a very strong team. However, we definitely need to bring some players in for our bench, especially given the fact that Jordan Henderson is now 68 rated and he's retiring at the end of the season. Our reserves do home some decent players like Dennis Sirkin, Anthony Patterson and Dan Ballard. We've got good defensive cover on the bench in Hume and Harwood Bellis. We are going to be looking to bring in a backup attacking midfielder and backup CDM in season number 5, which will hopefully make us a lot more solid heading into the new season. Now a few players are leaving us on expiry of their contracts. Alan Brown, Zach Johnson, who have tried to sell since the start of this rebuild, Jordan Henderson are all retiring. Brown and Henderson have been good servants to the club. Johnson just stole a living. And onto the stats, Yohan Bonny turned out to be an amazing signing, boys. He got 36 goals and 6 assists in 55 games. Enzo Lefebvre and Chris Rigg were absolutely outstanding as well. So was Sabari. Literally all of our goals this season were scored by our front four. So we have arrived in season number 5, boys, and we have got £233 million in the bank. This is because we had £101 million left over from last season's transfer budget. Obviously, once again, we are not allowed to spend all this money. The board will allow us to sign 1 backup attacking midfielder, 1 backup central defensive midfielder, and renew any relevant contracts. The full budget is not available for our use in this transfer window. Now, the highest rated players at the club are Valentin Antanga, Dan Neil and Chris Rigg, all at 89 rated, so we cannot sign anyone who is above 89 rated. But because we're bringing in backups, this doesn't really matter. So we went out into the transfer market and managed to bring in a new backup centre attacking midfielder and defensive midfielder, spending just £50 million, and I think we've done some very good business. So let's kick things off with our new backup defensive midfielder. Sergio Altimira has joined us from Real Betis for £22 million. He is 26 years old, 82 rated with really decent stats. He will make a great rotation player for season number 5, and he is a huge upgrade on the backup defensive midfielders we've currently got at the club. We then signed a very exciting attacking midfielder, Sebastian Nanasi, who's 26-year-old and 83 rated with very good stats. We signed him from Strasbourg for £28 million. With Strasbourg not qualifying for Europe this season, we have pinched one of their best players, and with 3 starting attacking midfield positions in our starting 11, Nanasi is going to get a lot of football this season. And quick reminder, we have signed these two for just £50 million, which is insane business. And our bench is looking much better heading into the new season. We've also got 2 youth academy graduates now on our bench, 5 80 rated players, and some genuine world class players on our bench. I think our squad overall is extremely well rounded. Now in terms of incomings, that's going to be our transfer window done. We just need to hope no elite clubs come in for our star players. Now we are kicking off season 5 with a narrow loss in the Community Shield. We have lost to Premier League champions Chelsea 3-1 on penalties. Fortunately, Nanasi, Rigg and Enzo Lefebvre all missed the kicks. So that is going to see off our transfer window, lads. We haven't had any bids come in for Rigg, Neil or Antanga, which is just very bemusing. But heading into season 5, our starting 11 is officially locked in for the new season, and what a team that is on paper. With our transfer window done, I don't think there's anything left we can do but simulate forward straight through to the end of the season. Got one of the best squads in English football at the moment. Hopefully the silverware just keeps on flowing. So we have arrived at the end of the season, lads, and we have finished second in the Premier League, 4 points off title winning Arsenal. Draws were our Achilles heel this season as we drew 13 times, which ultimately lost us the Premier League trophy. But we've once again secured Champions League qualification for next season, and we've got another big reason to be positive, lads, because we have won the FA Cup. We have beaten Brighton 3-2 in the final, winning yet another major trophy for Sunderland. And lads, we may be able to add one more trophy this season as we have reached the Champions League final. We're going to be taking on AC Milan. Play AC Milan so much on this channel, I'm actually getting bored of playing them. And we had a very weird run to the final. We finished 14th in the league phase, but we did only lose one game, which meant we had to play a playoff round game where we played Sporting Lisbon and beat them 6-3 over 2 legs. We would then take on Inter Milan in the round of 16, and despite losing 2-1 at the Stadium of Light, we would batter Inter Milan 5-1 at the San Siro, winning the tie 6-3. We would then take on RB Leipzig in the quarterfinals, and we would narrowly beat them 4-3 over 2 legs after drawing the second leg 2-2, which would then set up a semi-final against Real Madrid. And after drawing the first leg at the Bernabeu, we beat them 2-1 at the Stadium of Light, set up a final against AC Milan, which is going to be such a good game. And we should be taking an absolute super team into the Champions League final, but obviously Dan Neil and Enzo Lefebvre will both be suspended, 2 of our best players who both cannot play in the Champions League final. It's a good job we have got an unbelievable team on paper, as Antanga's 92 rated, Chris Rigg is 94 rated, Sebar is 90 rated. So our 2 new signings, Nanasi and Altimira, come into the starting 11. It's a bloody good job we signed them 2 in the summer, and although they're not as good as Dan Neil and Enzo Lefebvre, they are still very good players. Now in terms of stats this season, Jorn Bonny got 38 goals and 11 assists, and Chris Rigg got 27 goals and 10 assists. They were our best players, and we need them two to perform again in the Champions League final against AC Milan. So here we go, boys. It is Champions League final time, and before we get kicked off, we are just going to analyse the AC Milan team. Looking pretty strong on paper, but do you know what? Looking at their players, I think our team is much better. Honestly, I think we are the favourites heading into this final. So we get the game underway. Playing from Old Trafford as well, so a little bit of home advantage for us. A little bit of a kit clash as well, I can't lie, but hopefully it doesn't really affect the game too much. We're 20 minutes into the final, lads. Not a lot of action really happened, Rodri, for Milan. We're approaching the half-an-hour mark with no real chances in this game. Nanasi, chance! Oh, he's balloon. You just know if that was Enzo Lefebvre, that would have been 1-0. The first chance of the game does fall for us on 40 minutes. Nanasi just blazes it over the bar. And that's going to be half time, lads. I can't lie. This has been the most boring game of FIFA I've ever played. 1 chance in the entire first half, ballooned over the bar. I've just really hope I can bring you some highlights in the second half. Very much feels like this will be a 1-goal either way final. Come on, Bonny. Good space by Bonny. Oh my god, Bremer with the tackle. We're really missing Enzo Lefebvre in that attacking area. Chuck Wazer can come forward for Milan. Great tackle by Wilfred Singo. Have a dig. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's the second shot of the game, by the way, in the 72nd minute. Cut inside. Keep going. Across Bonny. What chance? It's in, boys. It's Chris Rigg with a goal. Magnan spills the cross, and it's our star player, 94 rated Chris Rigg, who gives us the lead. And in these tight finals where there's no chances, you need a bit of luck, and Magnan definitely gives us that. He completely spills that cross, and Rigg just has an empty net to lash the ball into. And boys, we have got one hand on the trophy. There cannot be long left in this game. Rodri. And he's dragged it wide. Could that be the last chance? 88 on the clock. Rigg with the shot. Easy save for Magnan, but that is going to be full time, boys. The referee blows his whistle. We have won the Champions League with Sunderland. Definitely not a classic, and easily one of the most boring Champions League finals we have ever played on the channel. But all that matters is the final result, and Sunderland win the game 1-0. And now all that is left to do is lift the Champions League trophy with Sunderland. It's such a shame that Dan Neil's not doing the honours, but by almost lifts the trophy, and Sunderland are the champions of Europe, and that's another rebuild successfully boxed off. So just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video. If you have enjoyed, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment section down below, was this rebuild realistic with the transfers? And next week we have got a massive task on our hands. We are rebuilding a side who have just been relegated to the National League.